or the Holmesburg section of northeast Philadelphia. Holmesburg is along the Delaware River. All the spots in Philadelphia County along the Delaware River were developed early in colonial days, as opposed to the other parts of the city that were farther away from the river. In northeast Philadelphia, what we would have found in colonial days would mostly have been farms. The reason we're here today is to take a look at the oldest roadway bridge in the country. This is on Frankfort Avenue, formerly the King's Highway. The King's Highway, it seems a bit un-American. We don't have it now. It's called Frankfort Avenue. However, the King of England did ask King Charles II that the highway be built to provide better transportation between Philadelphia and major northern cities, especially New York City. The General Assembly of Pennsylvania appointed the governor and provincial council to carry out the orders and build the road. William Penn, who established Philadelphia and Philadelphia County, set up his own private country house just outside Philadelphia, outside northeast Philadelphia, Pennsbury Manor. This was his route from Philadelphia to his home in Pennsbury Manor. He was the reason the bridge was built. It was built in 1697 by the men of Holmesburg. They were actually ordered to build the bridge and were fined if they didn't show up to build it. The Pennypack Creek is run through southeastern Pennsylvania on its way to the Delaware River. The name derived from the Lenape Indians, meaning deep, dead water, or water without much current. The little creek may not seem terribly special, but in the neighborhood of Holmesburg in northeast Philadelphia, its very presence is responsible for an amazing and humble piece of Pennsylvania and U.S. history. This is one of those structures, I would say, if this bridge could speak. Being the only major highway from Philadelphia northward starting in 1697, one can only imagine the people that have crossed that bridge. We're talking about colonials. First of all, William Penn in the 1600s, back and forth. And William Penn, being a Quaker, establishing Pennsylvania for religious freedoms, actually had slaves. Very confusing. But one could wonder, as he crossed this bridge with his slaves, what was on their minds. Were they happy? Were they oppressed? Were they abused? Did they realize that they were slaves of a very important man, a rich man? And were they treated well? What were their thoughts as they crossed this bridge? What was William Penn thinking as he crossed this bridge? A generation later, patriots would cross this bridge with word of the battles of Lexington and Concord, the beginning of the Revolutionary War. All the founding fathers from any place north of Philadelphia would have crossed this bridge to get to Philadelphia to attend the Continental Congress. The signers of the Declaration of Independence, the writers of our Constitution. This is quite an extensive piece of stonework. I'm trying to show the height of the bridge and the fact that it's over 300 years old. Today, over 20,000 cars pass this bridge every day. We consider it the oldest bridge in continuous use in the United States. The interesting metaphor I see here is the water flowing under the bridge, something that would have been going on since the beginning. Almost a metaphor for the passage of time. Holmesburg is named after Thomas Holme. He was a surveyor of Pennsylvania for William Penn. He's the guy that made the map of Philadelphia, the original Philadelphia. He was appointed in 1682. He was a member of the First Assembly in 1682 and its Provincial Council in 1683. He laid out the original portion of Philadelphia. He drafted the first map of the city and the map of the settled parts of Pennsylvania. We're now away from the bridge, still along Pennypack Creek, on William Holmes's estate. This is where he's buried. Here on his estate, being buried, were also members of the Crispin family, which were relatives of William Penn. An interesting thing you might note as we look at various videos in Philadelphia is that the trees and the woods that you see tend to be older. These are preserved areas. These are not new or landscaped. These were parks and fields that were set aside since colonial days. The woods you're looking at, while part of Thomas Holmes' estate, were never developed beyond his actual farmhouse, which no longer exists. We see a baseball field and the cemetery. We're now looking at an old Catholic church, a Polish Catholic church, just across the bridge from Frankfort Avenue. I wanted to include this one because we talk about the mentality and the thoughts and the ideas of the people who were crossing the bridge. This parish was established in the 1840s. William Penn established Pennsylvania with the ideas of religious freedom. He was a Quaker. However, in the 1840s, when Catholics started coming in large numbers, that was challenged. They were not welcome. Catholics were discriminated against. Irish Catholics, and in this case, Polish Catholics. The Polish Catholics came in large numbers and moved to the Richmond section of Philadelphia. However, as you see, they did establish a parish here in Holmesburg. This cathedral celebrates the success of religious freedom. No discussion of Holmesburg would be complete without a little tour. As you can see, like most of Northeast Philadelphia, this area was not developed during colonial times or even Victorian times. There are sections, small areas, but most of Northeast Philadelphia is modern, middle class. The Welsh were the first to move to Holmesburg. They all went up the Pennypack Creek, starting mills, small businesses. One of the major roads we have in Holmesburg is Welsh Road, which cuts through the village, or now this section of Philadelphia. We're still along Pennypack Park. This section of Holmesburg is called Winchester Park. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you find it thought-provoking. Please subscribe for more and learn everything about Philadelphia.